Oh shit, boy, we got some big shit dropping right now. Guys, we have some new documents when it comes to the Bryan Kohberger case. It is a response to discovery, and it looks like the prosecution has given the defense quite a lot of evidence. However, there's one thing that they're actually refusing to give them. the genealogy DNA shit. Isn't that what the whole fucking case is based on? Guys, I'm thejbgunner. This is Crime Time. This is going to be a bonus video for today. Let's do it.
Bring it back.
What's going on, everybody? Now, I'm not going to waste your time by doing all my normal shilling and doing all that. You guys know the deal. You want to support the goddamn channel, hit the links down below. You want to find my other shit, hit the links down below. Y'all know how it is. You love your gun squad. You want to join the gun squad. You get it. You get it. But since this is the second video and I got to get to my other live stream here in just a second, I'm reaching the end of my work day, so I want to kind of go through this quickly. I know a lot of you guys are still watching my other video, but let's get over to this. This is some new documents that has recently just dropped, and it's big time shit. What we have here is basically the state's response to the defendant's motion to compel discovery. It says, comes now the state of Idaho, by and through Latah County prosecuting, blah, blah, blah. They submit the following response to the motion to compel discovery filed by the defendant on May 4th, 2023. By the way of background, as of the date of this response, the state has provided the following discovery to the defendants. Approximately 10,000 pages of reports and other written materials. Now, I want to say something before we go this, because I know what all you anti-Kohberger people are going to do, like, that's all the evidence, just like you did when they took things from the house and shit like that. Well, they found hairs and blood. Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's evidence of the crime. Same thing here. Having 10,000 documents or anything of this nature does not mean anything. It's just, this is their own records. 10,000 pages of reports and other written materials. It doesn't mean any evidence at all. Approximately 10,200 photographs. Now you have to remember, this also doesn't mean anything, because ultimately if you got 10,200 photographs, that could just mean from the crime scene, from Kohberger's house, from the parents' house. That could mean a variety of different things. It doesn't actually mean anything. But I gotta admit, this is a lot of shit. Approximately 9,200 tips. That's, what the fuck does that even mean? Who the fuck cares about 9,200 tips? But this is actually pretty big. Approximately 51 terabytes. I don't know if you know how big a terabyte is. It's fucking crazy. Approximately 51, most of your entire computers, most of the computers you have in your house right now are probably a terabyte of memory. Does that make sense? So to have 51 terabytes full of information. It says of audio, video media, and digital materials. Now that is going to be the thing that really either hits home and either knocks this out for the prosecution, or it does the opposite. But that's the only thing, as someone that believes Kohberger is innocent, that I'm slightly concerned about. That could prove me completely wrong. The video and audio, and then the digital media. The defendants, in support of its cites ICR 116 in support of its motion. However, the rule only refers to the procedure for responding to discovery request, ICR, apply to request for discovery orders. With the above in mind, the state respectfully admits the following specific responses to items 1 through 6. Let's move on to the next one. Items 1 through 6. The state has disclosed all items it is aware of relating to the search and arrest of Bryan Kohberger in Pennsylvania. The state is unaware, listen to this, of any body cam and dash footage beyond what has been disclosed, and on information and belief understands that there is no body cam footage. They're saying there is no body cam footage in Pennsylvania. How the fuck do we have an arrest of the biggest case in the country and nobody, the police cameras, the Pennsylvania police did not turn their fucking cameras on? How is that even possible? How is that even a thing? I refuse to believe that fucking nonsense. There's absolutely no chance. That's unfathomable for that to even be the case. I don't know what you guys think, okay? Recordings of interviews and the defendant's transportation from the scene have also been provided. So they have footage of him being interviewed as well as transferred. Numerous lab reports regarding forensic evidence collection and analysis of items recovered from the defendant's parents' home, trash cans, and other receptacles in the defendant's vehicle have been disclosed to the defendant. These reports include items from the FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia, as well as the Idaho State Police lab. The defendant's attorneys and investigators have also been given direct access to view and inspect items seized from the parent's residence, including his vehicle. The state will continue to disclose additional reports it receives that are subject to discovery under ICR 16 and applicable case law. To the extent that the defendant believes that certain reports may contain exculpatory information, the state asked the defense specify what exculpatory information they are referring to and the basis for their belief. So they're calling the defense out on that. That is, so prosecution is stepping up right now. They're providing this shit and they're saying, okay, now tell us about the exculpatory evidence. I gotta admit, the state's calling them out. You guys know me, I'm honest about this shit. So as to enable the state to make any appropriate additional inquiries. That makes sense. Regarding the defendant's request labeled 2A, in addition to the above response, the state has inquired of the defense for clarification on ISP lab reports by number, since there is a question about some duplicate numbering of the initial initial lab report. Sorry. ISP lab reports are separately numbered by forensic biology, DNA, prints, and forensic field services. The state has already been able to advise defense counsel that there is an ISP lab report 25, which has been discovered. And there is another ISP report 11, which is pending review and approval at the lab. To assist the parties, the state has identified specific inquiries about the status of all ISP reports, lab reports, and will make discovery to the defense as appropriate. The state has provided recordings of MPD Detective Payne's interview with Mr. Kohberger. That's interesting. I can't wait. I would love to see that interview. To the defense. The state will provide any related reports and or notes as they are received and reviewed. As with item 1 above, the state has provided the defense with reports, audio, video, and other recordings relating to the defendant's arrest and incarceration in Pennsylvania that have been received by the state. Remember, no body cam footage. The state has provided a copy of the report memo labeled as, referred to as request number 161 to the defendant. The state is unaware of any notes, recordings, or photographs. The state respectfully submits the training records of specific officers are outside the scope of the ICR 16, unless to the extent that the officers will be offering expert testimony, which is discoverable under ICR 16. Let's make sure. The state is willing to reconsider its position upon a profiler by the defendant as to each officer under ICR 16, showing substantial need in preparation for the defendant's case for additional material or information not otherwise covered by this rule, and the defendant is unable, without undue hardship, to obtain the substantial equivalent by other means. To the event of such a showing, the state asks the court to enter such a protective orders as may be necessary and appropriate to protect the confidentiality of the personal records and try other sensitive information. The state has indicated its responses to prior discovery requests from the defense. The state has and will continue to provide discovery in accordance with ICR 16. That's on the 12th of May. That's 3 days ago. They sent this. This is the response to it. But we got some other shit, right? State's response to supplemental third request for discovery. To the defendant, Bryan Kohberger, and counsel, Ann Taylor, comes now the state of Idaho, blah, blah. This is in response to the third request for discovery. The state incorporates, as of January 23rd, 2023, state response to request for discovery. February 21st, state's response, blah, blah, blah. Okay, those are the three state requests for discovery. They said it is fully set forth at this point. The state has and will continue to provide discovery in accordance with ICR 16 when applicable. In regards to specific requests for standard lab discovery, this is what you got to pay attention to. The state has already provided the defense with everything it has received from the FBI lab. State has also provided the defense with approximately 30 reports from the Idaho State Police Lab. The state has provided the Idaho State Police Lab with a copy of the defendant's standard lab discovery, comprised of paragraphs 1 through 10, and will supplement discovery as appropriate. The state specifically objects to the request for the personal related information outside the scope of ICR 16, unless and to the extent of the lab personnel will be offering expert testimony, which is discoverable under ICR 16. In regard to the defense's request for genetic genealogy testing and search, listen to this. The state objects and intends to separately file a motion in, I don't know what that word is, a motion for protective order under ICR 16. They're protective order for the lab results, for the genealogy lab results. It's crazy, right? As will be more fully detailed in said motion, the state believes that the defendant's requested discovery is outside the scope of ICR 16. Ain't what the fuck you talking about? In that it does not tend to negate the guilt of the accused to the offense charged, or tend to reduce punishment for the, of course it does. It's the fucking, you know what? No, you have to have this because, listen, what they're trying to do, I don't know why they're trying to conceal that, but in my opinion, because they got to have Kohberger's DNA by now, I think it would be processed, the way they obtained the DNA. And so I think they're trying to keep that out of there. Because even in a case like this, if you went about obtaining shit incorrectly, the whole case could get thrown out. But anyway, so this does not tend to negate the guilt. We already talked about that, or reduce punishment for the offenses. It is not relevant, they say. They say the genealogy testing is not relevant. It is not material to the preparation of the defense. It is not intended for use by the state as evidence in trial. What? It's not intended for use. They must have his real DNA now. But still, if you obtain that DNA under illegal circumstances, they can have the whole case thrown out. So there's got to be a reason they're trying to keep that DNA out of here. There's got to be a reason they're specifically rejecting that DNA. They don't want to give the defense that DNA, right? Anyway, so it says will not be used for the state as evidence at trial, and none of the documentation being sought belongs to the defendants as contemplated by ICR 16. Genetic genealogy research does not constitute reports of examination under test under ICR 16. And any generic genealogy research is exempt from the disclosure under IRC. You see what they're saying? They are willing to give up all this evidence we saw here. But for some reason, for some goddamn reason, they don't want to give up the genealogy DNA. How could that be possible? What are you guys' thoughts on that? There's something weird here. But I will tell you this. This is actually not bad for the prosecution, because if they don't care about the genealogy DNA anymore, I got some bad news for us pro-Kohberger people. It must mean Bryan Kohberger's actual DNA matches. Does that make sense? Because once he got locked up and went to jail, you can imagine they got Kohberger's DNA. For some reason, they don't feel like they need the genealogy DNA no more. That's interesting, right? But why are they trying to hide this? Why wouldn't they turn that over to the defense? There's something up with that. Remember, I told you they were rushing. They were rushing. I still believe Kohberger can walk. And I think that's why they're keeping certain shit like that out of Kohberger's hands. Maybe that's what's exculpatory, was that they completely fucked up a procedure in terms of getting that DNA. And if that happens, that means the entire arrest affidavit, all of it, would be faulty, and Kohberger walks free. That's just the reality of this. We've always talked about the Idaho police and everybody dropping the ball. I think it's very, very possible that that's what's happening here. But it is what it is. There's a lot of documentation. The prosecution's playing hardball now. They're throwing them, they're giving them their evidence. They're doing all of that. But for some reason, they're holding on to the DNA, the genealogy DNA testing. Why? What do you think? Guys, if you like what I do here and you find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links down below. Support the channel. I'm JB Gunner. This is Crime Time. Let me know what you think about this. What do you think about this new documentation? Love you guys. I'm going to get the fuck up out of here. Peace out.